All right, let's dive into this. Cybersecurity. Looks like we've got a ton here from you. Articles, research, even some handwritten notes.
Someone's done their homework.
You really want to get to the bottom of this, huh?
Yeah.
Not just what it eyes, but like why you should care and what you can actually do about it.
Yeah.
Every single day.
Smart move. I mean, think about it. Every time you connect something, you're kind of opening yourself up a little.
Right.
Fitness trackers, smart refrigerators, even your car, probably. It all adds up.
That's true. Okay, so first things first, cybersecurity. What does that even mean? I'm seeing all these definitions here.
Yeah, a lot of people think it's just about, like, protecting data.
Right, like making sure no one steals my credit card number.
Yeah. But one of your sources, it actually goes deeper. It talks about protecting the whole system. The networks, the devices, even physical stuff. The things our data relies on.
You're talking like power grids, right?
Exactly. Hospitals, financial systems. Imagine if those got hacked.
Oh, wow. Yeah, talk about chaos.
No kidding. And it happens. I mean, remember that FBI CISA thing? Chinese hackers messing with those US telecom companies?
That's right. Makes you think, huh?
It does. And that's why, understanding the different kinds of cybersecurity is so important. Because it's not like one size fits all, right?
Okay, break it down for me. What kinds are we talking about?
Well, like you said, there's critical infrastructure security, keeping those essential systems running. Power grids, water treatment plants, all that.
Backbone of society, got it.
Right. Then there's network security, safeguarding your internal networks, like think firewalls and passwords and all that.
Okay, so that's like locking your doors at home.
Exactly. Then you've got application security, making sure software apps are safe from those vulnerabilities.
So that's where antivirus programs come in.
Yep, exactly. And then there's information security, which is kind of like the big umbrella, protects data in all forms.
Oh, I see. So each type focuses on a different layer. It's like a multi-layer defense system.
Exactly. And of course, now with everything moving to the cloud, there's cloud security too. Got to protect that data up there.
Right. Makes sense. And what about preventing data loss? I think I saw something about that.
Yep. Data loss prevention. That's all about strategies to, prevent data loss. And then, God forbid, if a breach happens, making sure you can recover.
So there's a plan B even if things go wrong. Okay, but one thing I noticed here, it's called end user education. What's that all about?
That's where WE come in.
Yes.
All of us, regular users. Because even with the fanciest security systems, sometimes it's human error that messes things up.
Oh, interesting.
So end user education is about training people to recognize threats, how to follow best practices, how to be smarter online.
Right, because you can have the strongest fortress, but if someone leaves the gate open.
Exactly. And that's why it's so important to understand, like, the common threats out there. If you know what to look for, you're way less likely to fall victim.
Okay, so let's name the villains. Who are the biggest bad guys in cyberspace?
Well, I bet you've encountered this one. Phishing. Still the most common.
Phishing. Don't even get me started. I feel like I'm constantly on edge with my email.
It's gotten so sophisticated, these emails.
They really have. But, like, what are they after?
They want your secrets. Passwords, credit card numbers, even access to your bank accounts. And they pretend to be, like, someone you trust.
Oh, yeah, your bank or, like, a social media site.
Exactly.
And I bet with AI getting smarter and smarter, these things are just going to get harder to spot.
Definitely a concern. One thing your sources mention, though, is the sender's email address. Check it carefully.
Okay, for what?
Inconsistencies, misspellings, anything that looks a little off. Oh, and never click those links directly.
Yeah, that's smart. Go to the website yourself. Okay, so phishing, deception. What other tricks do we need to watch out for?
Another one. This one's especially scary for businesses and organizations. Advanced persistent threats. They call them APTs.
APTs. Okay, I'm intrigued. What are those?
It's basically when someone gets into a network and they stay hidden for a long time.
So they're like a digital spy, secretly gathering intel.
You got it. Quietly stealing valuable data. Your sources say they often go after, like, high-value industries.
Like who?
Defense, manufacturing, finance, the big players.
Makes sense. High stakes, high reward.
Okay.
Okay, so we've got sneaky phishing emails, we've got stealthy APTs. Anything else trying to ruin our day?
Oh, yeah. This one's a doozy. Ransomware.
Ransomware. That's the one where they hold your data hostage. For
Yep. They lock you out of your files, maybe your whole computer, until you pay up. And even then, there's no guarantee you'll get your stuff back.
That's awful. What are the different types of ransomware?
Well, you've got crypto malware. That's the most common one. It encrypts your files. Totally inaccessible.
Unless you have the decryption key. Which they have.
Right. Then there are lockers. They lock you out of your whole computer. No photos, no documents, nothing. And then there's scareware. That's the one that messes with your head. Fake warnings, pop-ups, trying to scare you into paying for their solution.
Wow. So it's hacking, but also, like, psychological warfare.
Pretty much.
I read that sometimes they even send you a ransom note before they attack. Like a warning.
It's true. Crazy, right?
Totally. Okay, ransomware is officially terrifying.
Yeah.
But what about malware? That's another word I hear all the time.
Yeah.
Is that like all these things we're talking about?
It's more of a general term. Malware is any malicious software designed to harm your computer or steal your information.
Okay, so ransomware is just one type of malware.
Exactly. Other common ones are spyware and keyloggers.
Spyware?
Yeah.
Isn't that the one that like spies on you?
Yep. Tracks your browsing, your keystrokes, maybe even takes screenshots or webcam footage.
Ugh, creepy. Like a digital stalker. And keyloggers, what do?
They record every keystroke,
Yeah.
so they can steal passwords, credit card numbers, all that.
That's terrifying. So basically assume everything you type is being watched?
Pretty much.
Okay, one last term I keep seeing. Social engineering. What is that?
That one's interesting. It's not really hacking, technically.
I mean,
They use psychology, manipulation. They trick you into giving up information or doing something that compromises your security.
so they're like digital con artists.
Exactly. And they can be very convincing.
How so?
Maybe they pretend to be someone you trust. Or they create a fake website that looks totally real. Or they use your emotions against you.
Like fear or urgency?
Yep, to make you act without thinking.
Wow. They really are hacking your mind, not just your computer.
That's one way to put it.
Okay, I gotta be honest. I'm starting to feel a little overwhelmed.
It's a lot to take in. But don't worry, there's stuff we can do about it.
Okay, good. Because right now, I'm ready to throw my computer out the window and live off the grid. Seriously, though, tell me there's hope.
There's tons of hope. You don't have to go full hermit just yet.
Okay, good. So what can we do? How do we protect ourselves? What's our first line of defense?
Start with the basics. Keep your software up to date.
You mean those update notifications I always ignore?
Yep. Those often have security patches that fix, weaknesses that hackers could use.
Okay, so those are actually important.
Crucial. Think of it like this. Your software is a house. Those updates are like reinforcing the doors and windows.
Makes sense.
And a lot of operating systems offer automatic updates. Use them.
Like having a security guard that never sleeps. Okay, point taken. Updates, check. What else?
Next up, antivirus software. You gotta have it.
Okay, I have that. But honestly, I don't always keep it updated. Does that matter?
It's super important. New threats are popping up all the time. Enable those automatic virus definition updates.
Like giving your bodyguard the latest intel. Got it.
Yeah.
Antivirus? Check. What about passwords? Those are a nightmare. So many to remember.
Tell me about it. But they're your first line of defense.
Okay, but how do you make a password that's strong but also, something I can actually remember?
Good question. Your sources talk a lot about passphrases.
Passphrases.
Instead of one word, use a whole phrase, like a sentence. At least 16 characters long.
So like, I love cybersecurity podcasts.
Exactly. Make it meaningful to you, but hard for anyone else to guess. And for the love of all that is good, use different passwords for different accounts.
Right, so one leak doesn't ruin everything. Anything else about passwords?
Oh, yeah. Change those default usernames and passwords, the ones that come with your router, your devices, all that. Those are easy pickings for hackers.
Oh, you're right. I always forget about those.
Change them right away. And whenever you can, use multi-factor authentication.
Multi-what now?
Multi-factor authentication. It's an extra layer of security.
How does it work?
Basically, you need more than just your password to get in, like a code sent to your phone or a fingerprint scan.
Oh, okay. Like a digital double check. Got it.
Yeah.
What else can we do? Give me all your security secrets.
Let's talk firewalls. It's basically a barrier between your computer and the outside world. Blocks any suspicious activity.
My computer already has one built in, doesn't it? Is that good enough?
It's a start, but for extra protection, you might want a standalone firewall, especially if you're dealing with, sensitive data.
Okay, noted. Firewall. Check. And what about VPNs? Are those really necessary?
VPNs are great for privacy and security, especially on public Wi-Fi.
Public Wi-Fi, that's like everywhere these days.
I know, right? And it's super easy for someone to snoop on your activity. But a VPN creates an encrypted tunnel. All your data is protected.
So even if I'm at a coffee shop using their free Wi-Fi, I'm safe.
Much safer. Your real IP address is masked, so it's harder to track you.
Okay, VPN, added to the list. Anything else? This is like cybersecurity boot camp.
Last but not least, be careful with your email. We talked about phishing already, but just be cautious. Double-check those sender addresses.
Be suspicious of everything.
Pretty much. It's much easier to prevent an attack than to deal with the consequences.
You're telling me. Okay, I'm feeling a lot more prepared now. Thank you.
Of course, but remember, this is just the beginning. There's always more to learn.
Okay, so we've got the basics down. We know what cybersecurity is, we've met some of the bad guys, and we know some of the ways to protect ourselves. What's next?
Well, in the next part, we're going to talk about the future of cybersecurity.
The future, huh? That sounds intriguing.
It is. Things are changing fast.
Can't wait to hear more.
You know, thinking about the future of cybersecurity, one thing from your research really stuck with me.
What's that?
The lines are getting blurry.
Blurry. Between what?
The physical world and the digital world. They're not so separate anymore.
Okay, I'm not sure I follow.
Think about all that critical infrastructure. Power grids, transportation systems, water treatment plants.
Right, essential stuff.
Used to be those were isolated. Now they're all connected, automated, which means vulnerable.
So someone could hack a power grid.
It's not just about stealing data anymore. It's about messing with the systems that keep society running.
Wow. Yeah, the stakes are definitely higher now.
And as we move towards, smart cities, Internet of Things, everything connected,
Right.
the attack surface just keeps getting bigger.
Okay, so the scope is changing. What about the attackers themselves? Are they upping their game too?
Oh, absolutely. Cybercriminals are always adapting. But one thing that's really changed
What's that?
is nation-state actors. Governments getting involved?
You mean like cyber espionage, cyber warfare?
Exactly. Highly targeted attacks, really tough to defend against.
So it's not just like some guy in his basement anymore.
Nope. It's a whole different ballgame.
And what about AI? Does that play a role?
Huge role. AI and machine learning, they're being weaponized.
Weaponized? How so?
Think about it. AI can create smarter malware, launch bigger attacks, personalize those phishing attempts to make them even more convincing.
So it's like giving the bad guys superpowers.
That's one way to put it.
Okay, starting to feel a little overwhelmed again. It's like, how can we possibly keep up?
It's a challenge, for sure, but there are things we can do individually and collectively.
Okay, give me some hope here. What can we actually do to protect ourselves in this crazy, ever-changing world?
Well, your sources talk about a layered approach. Technical solutions, smart policies, and a culture of awareness.
Okay, let's start with the technical stuff. What do we need?
First and foremost, strong cybersecurity infrastructure. Firewalls, intrusion detection systems, antivirus software, all that.
The digital walls and defenses.
Exactly. But it's not enough to just have them. You got to configure them right, keep them updated. Those software updates we talked about apply to security tools too.
Right, right. So it's like constantly reinforcing the fortress.
Another big one is data encryption.
Encryption, remind me what that is.
It basically scrambles your data, so even if someone gets it, they can't read it.
So it's like a secret code.
Exactly. It makes the data useless to them.
Okay, encryption. Got it. You also mentioned policies. How do those fit in?
Policies set the rules of the game. Password management, data handling, what to do if there's an incident, all that.
So it's like making sure everyone in the organization is on the same page.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Reduces the risk of, human error.
Oh, yeah. People can be the weak link, can't they? We talked about phishing and social engineering. Those are all about exploiting human behavior.
That's why security awareness is so important.
Right, so it's not just about locking down the systems, it's about educating people.
Empowering them to be the first line of defense.
How do you actually do that?
Regular training. Simulated phishing attacks. Promote those best practices for online safety.
So make cybersecurity part of the everyday conversation.
Exactly. Make it part of the culture.
Okay, starting to get the bigger picture here. It's technology, it's policies, it's people, it's a whole ecosystem.
That's a good way to put it.
But with all these threats constantly evolving, seems kind of daunting. Any good news out there?
Absolutely. There's a ton of innovation happening in the cybersecurity space.
Really? Like what?
One area that's really exciting is threat intelligence. Researchers and organizations are sharing information about threats way better than they used to.
So they're collaborating.
Yeah, trying to identify and neutralize threats before they become a problem.
Is AI playing a role there?
Big time. AI can automate threat detection and analysis way faster and more efficient.
So fighting fire with fire.
You got it. And AI is also being used to develop better security solutions. Biometrics, behavioral analytics, even quantum computing.
Wow, that's pretty cutting edge.
It is. And as cybersecurity becomes more and more important, there's more investment in research and development, more talented people coming into the field.
Okay, so even though the challenges are real, it sounds like there's some hope. We're not just sitting ducks.
Not at all. We're fighting back.
That's good to hear.
Mm-hmm.
But amidst all this talk about cybersecurity, I'm wondering, what about privacy?
Yes. Privacy. Big question.
I mean, we've talked about protecting data, systems, all that. But what about our personal information?
Right. Is privacy even possible in this world where everything's connected and tracked? That's the million-dollar question.
It is.
And your sources definitely grapple with it. Cybersecurity and privacy, they're intertwined.
So it's not just about keeping data safe, but also making sure it's used responsibly, ethically.
Exactly. Finding that balance between security and freedom.
Right, because you don't want to live in a surveillance state just to be safe.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've talked about the threats, the defenses, the future, and even privacy. Anything else from your analysis that we should touch on?
One more thing. This came up a lot in your sources.
Okay, I'm listening.
Cybersecurity is not a destination. It's a journey.
A journey, huh?
It's constantly evolving. We're always learning, adapting. There's no finish line.
So you can never just sit back and relax.
Nope. Always got to be one step ahead.
All right, good reminder. So where do we go from here?
Well, in the last part, we're going to distill all this down to some key takeaways.
And maybe leave our listeners with something to think about.
You got it.
Wow. Okay, so we've really gone deep on this, haven't we?
We have. It's a lot to process.
It is. From, what cybersecurity, even IS, to all those scary threats out there, and then how to actually protect ourselves.
Right. And one thing that really stood out to me going through all this, cybersecurity, it's everyone's responsibility. It's not just for the tech people.
You're right. We all have a part to play.
Exactly. We can't just assume someone else is taking care of it.
So it's about being aware, taking those small steps to protect ourselves, making smart choices online.
Exactly. Be cautious about what you click on, secure your accounts, all that stuff.
We talked about strong passwords, multi-factor authentication, keeping your software updated.
Right. Those are all good starting points.
Being wary of those phishing emails.
Yeah.
Using firewalls, VPNs.
And remember, it's an ongoing process. You can't just do it once and forget about it.
It's like staying healthy, right? You got to keep at it.
Perfect analogy. And just like with fitness, there are resources to help you. Organizations, government agencies, even companies.
Don't be afraid to ask for help if you need it. There are experts out there who want to help you stay safe.
Exactly. And even small steps make a difference.
Like just turning on two-factor authentication. That can make a big impact.
Absolutely. Every little bit helps.
Going back to something you said earlier about the human element.
Yeah, that's key.
Technology is just one part of it.
Right. We're trying to protect people, their information, their privacy, their livelihoods.
So how do we keep that in mind? How do you make sure we're not just focusing on the tech, but also on the people?
Well, I think it starts with empathy. Understanding the people behind the screens, recognizing that we're all connected. Our actions have real-world consequences.
It's not just about protecting ourselves, but protecting each other.
Exactly. And that's a really important takeaway, I think.
I agree. Cybersecurity is about people. It's about building a digital world that's safe and respectful for everyone.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Well, that about wraps it up for this deep dive into cybersecurity. Thanks for joining us. And until next time, stay safe out there.
And stay curious.